What are tariffs, why countries use them, and what Trump's 25 levy on India means? US President Donald Trump has announced that a 25% tariff will be imposed on Indian imports starting August 1st, along with an additional unspecified penalty. The move has triggered widespread debate on trade wars and tariffs, and how they affect global commerce. In a post on his platform Truth Social, Trump wrote, "India is our friend, but we have done relatively little business with them because their tariffs are far too high and they have the most strenuous and obnoxious non-monetary trade barriers of any country." He also cited India's military and energy ties with Russia, stating, "They have always bought a vast majority of their military equipment from Russia, and are Russia's largest buyer of energy, along with China, at a time when everyone wants Russia to stop the killing in Ukraine. Things not good. India will therefore be paying a tariff of 25, plus a penalty for the above, starting on August 1st, he concluded. With this, India joins a growing list of countries targeted by the Trump administration's trade actions, including China, Canada, the EU, and Mexico. But what exactly are tariffs, and how do they work? These tariffs are taxes imposed on goods and services imported from other countries. Importers pay them to their own government when the goods cross the border. Tariffs are usually calculated as a percentage of the product's value, a format known as an ad valorem tariff. For example, a 10% tariff on a Rs 1000 product means an importer must pay Rs 100 in tax. Some tariffs are specific, charged as a flat amount per unit of the item, regardless of its price. Others are compound tariffs, which combine both. And when a product is imported, U.S. Customs and Border Protection (CBP), or the relevant authority in any country, collects the tariff at the point of entry, whether by sea, air, or land. In the U.S., goods are classified using the International Harmonized System, which assigns them codes to determine applicable tariff rates. The money collected goes to the Treasury's General Fund. Importers often pass the cost on to businesses or consumers, raising the final price of goods. Sometimes, companies absorb part of the cost, or even shift production to the importing country to avoid the levy. Earlier in April, Trump had announced a 26% tariff on Indian goods, which he described as a discounted reciprocal tariff. This was part of a broader slate of trade measures targeting key partners including China and the European Union. A reciprocal tariff is when one country matches the import tax another imposes on its goods. For example, if country A imposes a 15% tariff on products from country B, then country B may retaliate by levying the same rate on imports from country A. Reciprocal tariffs are often framed as corrective actions to what one country sees as unfair or one-sided trade terms. Countries use tariffs for multiple reasons. In Trump's case, tariffs are also being used as leverage to push trade partners toward political or strategic concessions. For instance, in previous instances, he linked tariff waivers to controlling drug flows and immigration from Mexico, or resolving the war in Ukraine. In the case of Russia-linked trade. Technically, importing businesses pay the tariff at the time goods enter the country. However, these businesses often pass the cost on to consumers, leading to higher retail prices. In some cases, exporters may lower their prices to remain competitive despite the tariffs. But over time, the burden tends to affect consumers, manufacturers, and even jobs, especially in industries that rely heavily on imports. For example, as reported by The Guardian, U.S. bank J.P. Morgan estimated that a 25% tariff could raise new car prices by $4,000. This is particularly relevant in the automobile sector, where components like engines and transmissions may cross borders multiple times before final assembly, each time incurring costs that eventually reflect in the end price. Tariffs can be applied to raw materials and intermediate goods as well. This is especially impactful in globalized supply chains. Car parts, for example, may cross US-Mexico or US-Canada borders 7 or 8 times during production. Tariffs at each step raise the final cost of the end product. In addition to tariffs, countries often use non-monetary trade restrictions, commonly referred to as non-tariff barriers (NTBs), to control the volume, quality, or type of goods entering their markets. While these are not taxes, they can significantly impact trade by making imports more difficult or expensive to bring in. These measures can act as indirect obstacles to trade, even if no direct tax is levied. They may serve legitimate purposes, such as consumer safety or environmental protection, but are also sometimes criticized for being protectionist tools in disguise. Trump has accused India of having some of the most strenuous and obnoxious non-monetary trade barriers globally. In the United States, tariffs are enforced by U.S. Customs and Border Protection (CBP) at more than 300 ports of entry, including airports, seaports, and land crossings. Importing businesses must accurately declare non-tariffs are collected during customs clearance, and the funds go to the U.S. Treasury's General Fund. If businesses misreport product details, either accidentally or deliberately, they may face audits, fines, and legal penalties. There are also special exemptions. For instance, goods that are made in the U.S. and re-imported without alteration may be exempt from duty. Conversely, products manufactured abroad using American raw materials, such as gold sent to India and returned as jewelry, are taxed on the full value, including the original U.S. input. In India, tariff enforcement is managed by the Central Board of Indirect Taxes and Customs (CBIC) under the Ministry of Finance. Like in the U.S., importers must declare product value, type, and country of origin under the Customs Act, 1962. Indian customs authorities follow the harmonized system of nomenclature HSN to classify goods and determine applicable basic customs duty (BCD) and other duties like non-tariffs are calculated at the time of bill of entry filing, and payment must be made before clearance of goods. Customs officials may conduct random checks, valuation assessments, or document verification, and discrepancies can lead to seizure, penalties, or delayed release. India also uses digital systems like the IceGate Indian Customs Electronic Gateway for online documentation and payments, and has implemented faceless assessments under its two-round customs initiative to streamline processes and reduce human interface. Trump says tariffs will help boost American manufacturing, reduce the trade deficit, and protect American jobs. He argues that foreign cheaters have taken advantage of the U.S. America has been pillaged by foreigners, he has said. Tariffs have also become a bargaining chip in his international negotiations, used to extract broader concessions. For instance, they played a role in the renegotiation of the US-Mexico-Canada Agreement (USMCA) in 2020. While Trump insists his tariff strategy is working, global economic bodies and key trade partners continue to warn of long-term consequences, including rising inflation and disruptions to global supply chains. However, Trump has signaled some openness to negotiating with India. When asked about the possibility of a deal, he said, "We are talking to them now. It doesn't matter too much whether we have a deal or we charge them a certain tariff. But you will know at the end of this week." Swipe left for next video. He cited the BRICS grouping, of which India is a member, as a factor behind the tariff decision, calling it a group of countries that are anti the United States and claiming it represents an attack on the dollar. For now, all eyes remain on August 1st, when the new 25% tariff and additional penalty on Indian imports officially take effect, potentially redrawing the terms of trade between the world's two largest democracies. The outcome of ongoing discussions could determine whether tensions escalate or ease in the weeks ahead. Latest blogs.